A 7-year-old girl in a torn pink dress burst into a biker garage barefoot and bleeding from her knees. "He hurt my grandma!" she screamed. 20 bikers dropped everything and roared to her home. They were ready to destroy whoever touched that old woman. But when they kicked down the door, they found the attacker unconscious on the kitchen floor and the grandmother calmly making tea. What they didn't know, she was the woman who founded their club 45 years ago. And the men who sent that attacker had just awakened a sleeping legend. If you want to see how this satisfying story unfolds, subscribe to our channel and stay until the very end. Drop a comment telling us which city you're watching from. We love seeing how far our stories travel. The wrench slipped from Axel Stone's grip and hit the concrete with a sharp clang. Not because he was careless. In 23 years of running the Steel Angels garage, Axel had never dropped a tool. His hands were steady as granite even when everything else fell apart. It was the girl that made him drop it. She stood in the open bay door like a ghost made of desperation. 7 years old, maybe 8. Pink dress torn at the shoulder. No shoes. Her feet were bleeding, leaving small red prints on the oil-stained floor. But it was her eyes that stopped him cold. Those eyes had seen something no child should ever see. "He hurt my grandma." The words ripped through the garage like a gunshot. Every engine died. Every conversation stopped. 15 bikers turned toward the tiny figure swaying in the doorway. Axel was already moving. "What did you say, sweetheart?" The girl's chest heaved. Tears cut tracks through the dirt on her face. "Please, please, you have to help her. There's a man, he's hurting her. I ran and... Her knees buckled. Axel caught her before she hit the ground. She weighed nothing, just bones and fear wrapped in torn pink fabric. "Easy now, easy." He lowered himself to her level 1 knee on the cold concrete. "What's your name, Lily?" Her voice cracked. "Lily Harper." "Okay, Lily Harper. I'm Axel. Can you tell me where your grandma is?" "Cedar Street, the yellow house with the roses. Please, he was so big and she was screaming and I didn't know what to do, so I ran because Grandma always said, if something bad happens, find the angels. Find the men with the angel wings on their backs." Axel's blood went cold. He looked over his shoulder. 14 men stood in a half-circle leather vests catching the afternoon light. The angel wing patches on their backs seemed to glow. "You did exactly right, Lily." His voice was calm, but his eyes were anything but. "Razor, call 911. Tell them possible assault in progress on Cedar Street." "Already on it, Prez." "Diesel, Marcus, Hawk, you're with me. The rest of you." He stood lifting Lily in his arms. "Gear up. If this is what I think it is, we might need everybody." The garage exploded into controlled chaos. Engines roaring to life. Boots pounding on concrete. The synchronized thunder of Harleys warming up. "Lily," Axel set her gently on a workbench. "I need you to stay here with Mama Rose. She's going to take care of you." A heavy-set woman with kind eyes and gray-streaked braids emerged from the back office. She'd been the club's den mother for 30 years, seen everything, feared nothing. "Come here, baby girl." Mama Rose wrapped Lily in her arms. "You're safe now." But Lily grabbed Axel's vest with both fists. Her grip was surprisingly strong. "Promise me." Her eyes burned into his. "Promise me you'll save her. She's all I have. My mom's gone. My dad's gone. It's just me and Grandma. Please, please don't let him hurt her anymore." Axel felt something crack inside his chest. Something he'd thought was long dead. "I promise." He covered her small hands with his massive calloused ones. "Nobody hurts your grandma while the Steel Angels ride. Nobody." He pulled away, but Lily held on for one more second. "She's stronger than she looks," Lily whispered. "But he was so big." "So am I, sweetheart. So am I." 30 seconds later, 4 motorcycles screamed out of the garage. The sound was unmistakable. Deep, guttural, angry. The kind of sound that made people on sidewalks turn and stare. The kind of sound that made smart people get out of the way. Cedar Street was 6 blocks away. They made it in 90 seconds. Axel spotted the yellow house immediately. The white roses Eleanor Harper had planted 40 years ago still bloomed in the front yard, a splash of beauty that seemed to mock the violence that had invaded. But something was wrong. The front door was destroyed. Not kicked in, kicked out. The wood was splintered outward, hanging from one hinge like a broken wing. "Hold up." Axel raised his fist. The bikes went silent. In the sudden quiet, they could hear something from inside the house. Humming. Someone was humming a lullaby. "What the hell?" Diesel's voice was barely a whisper. Axel drew his knife. Not because he planned to use it, but because walking into an unknown situation unarmed was suicide. "Stay behind me. Check every corner. We don't know what we're walking into." He approached the ruined door slowly, every sense on high alert. The living room looked like a war zone. Furniture overturned, lamps shattered, picture frames scattered across the floor like fallen soldiers. And there in the middle of it all sat an elderly woman in a floral armchair. She was tiny. Couldn't have been more than 5'2". Silver hair pulled back in a neat bun, reading glasses on a chain around her neck. She looked like she belonged on the cover of a magazine about grandmothers who bake cookies, except for the unconscious man crumpled at her feet. He was huge, 6'4", at least 250 easy. The kind of man who made other men nervous. His nose was clearly broken. His left arm bent at an angle that made Axel wince, and he wasn't moving. The old woman looked up from her humming and smiled. "Oh good, the cavalry has arrived." She gestured to the man on the floor. "Would someone mind taking out the trash? He's bleeding on my carpet." Axel stared. His brain struggled to connect what he was seeing with what he'd expected to find. "Ma'am, are you Eleanor Harper?" "I am." Her eyes met his, and suddenly they weren't the eyes of a grandmother anymore. They were sharp, calculating, familiar somehow. "And you're Axel Stone, president of the Steel Angels Motorcycle Club. Took over from Bobby Mad Dog Martinez in 2015 after he had that heart attack. You've been running things well. Better than well, actually. I've been watching." Axel's hand tightened on his knife. "How do you know that?" Eleanor Harper rose from her chair with the grace of a woman half her age. She stepped over the unconscious man like he was nothing more than a fallen branch. "How do I know that?" She walked to a side table that had somehow survived the destruction, opened a drawer, pulled out a small wooden box. "I know because I was there when the Steel Angels were born. In 1979, in a garage about half the size of yours." She opened the box. Inside, nestled on faded velvet, was a patch, an angel wing patch almost identical to the one on Axel's back. Almost. This one was different, older. The stitching was hand-done, not machine. And beneath the wings, there was a single word that made Axel's blood freeze in his veins. Founder. "My husband and I started this club 45 years ago," Eleanor said quietly. "We built it to protect people, to give veterans a family when they came home from Vietnam with nothing, to stand between the innocent and the darkness." She looked at Axel with those sharp, knowing eyes. "I've been waiting a very long time to meet you, son. I just didn't expect it to happen like this." Behind Axel, Diesel made a choking sound. "Holy mother of language!" Eleanor's voice cracked like a whip. "There's a child in this story, even if she's not in this room." "Yes, ma'am. Sorry, ma'am." Axel couldn't take his eyes off the patch. Couldn't process what he was seeing. The founder of the Steel Angels was a man named William Harper. Died in 1982. Everyone knows that. "William was my husband." Eleanor's voice softened. "And he didn't just die. He was murdered. By a rival gang called the Iron Wolves. They wanted our territory, our connections, our power. William refused to bow, so they killed him." She closed the box gently like she was closing a coffin. "I was 6 months pregnant with our daughter when they shot him in our driveway. I watched him bleed out on the concrete while I held my belly and screamed." Axel felt the ground shift beneath his feet. "Why didn't anyone know the club history?" "The club history was sanitized, for my protection." Eleanor walked back to her chair and sat down, suddenly looking every one of her 78 years. The iron wolves put a bounty on my head, on my unborn child's head. The only way to survive was to disappear. So you've been hiding for 45 years. Hiding, watching, waiting. Her eyes drifted to the unconscious man. I always knew they'd find me eventually. I just hoped it would be after Lily was grown. At the mention of her granddaughter's name, Eleanor's composure cracked. Just for a second. Just enough for Axel to see the terrified grandmother beneath the warrior. Where is she? Is she safe? She's at our garage. Mama Rose is with her. She's scared, but she's okay. Eleanor's hand flew to her heart. Thank God, thank God. Mrs. Harper. Eleanor, or Ellie. 45 years of hiding means I don't stand on ceremony. Eleanor. Axel holstered his knife and crouched beside the unconscious man. Who is this, and how did you put him down? For the first time, Eleanor smiled. A real smile with teeth. His name is Victor Cross. He's a scout for the Iron Wolves. They've been getting closer for months, following me, watching Lily at school. I knew they'd make a move eventually. That doesn't explain how a 78-year-old woman put a 250-pound enforcer on the floor. Doesn't it? Eleanor held up her hands. Her knuckles were scraped raw, already starting to bruise. I was a combat nurse in Vietnam, Mr. Stone. I've put bigger men than him on the floor. I've saved lives and I've taken them. This one, she nudged Victor with her foot, was sloppy, overconfident. He thought he was dealing with a helpless old woman. Grandma. The door burst open. Lily flew across the room and launched herself into Eleanor's arms. They said you were hurt. They said, shh, baby, shh. Eleanor held her granddaughter tight, rocking her like an infant. I'm fine, I'm right here. Mama Rose appeared in the doorway, breathing hard. Couldn't stop her. The second she heard we were heading here, she jumped on the back of Razor's bike like she'd been doing it her whole life. Lily pulled back her eyes, scanning Eleanor's face, her hands looking for damage. I saw him through the window. He grabbed your arm. You screamed. I screamed because I wanted you to run, baby, not because I was scared. Eleanor cupped Lily's face in her hands. You did exactly right. You found help. You were so brave. But how did you... Lily's eyes found the unconscious man on the floor. Her face went pale. Did you do that? Eleanor hesitated, just for a second. Then she nodded. I did. How? Eleanor glanced at Axel, then back at her granddaughter. Baby, there are some things about Grandma that I never told you. Things I thought you were too young to know. Things I hoped you'd never have to know. What things? Eleanor pulled Lily onto her lap. The little girl was too big for it, really. But neither of them seemed to care. A long time ago, before your mommy was born, Grandma was a different person. I was strong. I was fierce. I helped start something important. A group of people who protected others. Like superheroes. Like guardians. And the man on the floor, he works for very bad people. People who hurt your grandfather a long time ago. People who... Eleanor stopped. Her voice caught. People who might have hurt your mommy, too. The words hung in the air like smoke. Axel watched Lily's face transform. Confusion to understanding. Understanding to something darker. Mommy's car accident. It wasn't an accident. I don't know for sure, baby. I've suspected for 2 years, but I couldn't prove it. I couldn't... They killed my mommy. The words were quiet. Too quiet for a 7-year-old. I don't know. But I'm going to find out. And these men... Eleanor gestured to Axel and his brothers. They're going to help me. Axel straightened. We are... Eleanor's eyes met his. Steel on steel. The Iron Wolves aren't done. Victor was just a scout. A test. When he doesn't report back, they'll send more. They'll come in force. How many? Their full chapter. 30. Maybe 40. Led by a man named Vincent Kane. His father was the one who killed my William. You've been tracking them for 45 years. Every move, every crime, every victim. Eleanor reached into the pocket of her cardigan and pulled out a small USB drive. I have everything. Names, dates, account numbers. Enough to bring them down 10 times over. I've been feeding information to the FBI for decades. Then why haven't they been arrested? Because the FBI wanted the big fish, the cartels the iron wolves work with, the politicians they've bought. They asked me to wait, to keep gathering, to stay hidden until the time was right. She looked at Victor's unconscious form. I don't think the time was right, but it's here anyway. Axel ran his hand through his hair. This was supposed to be a simple rescue mission. Save a grandmother from an attacker. Maybe call the cops. Get back to the garage in time for the evening poker game. Instead, he was standing in the middle of a 4-decade war he didn't even know existed. Mrs. Harper, Eleanor, I don't know what you want from us, but the Steel Angels aren't a militia. We're a motorcycle club. We do charity rides and community events. We fix bikes and help veterans. We're not... You're not what? Eleanor's voice sharpened. You're not protectors, because that's exactly what you are. That's what your patches mean. That's what William built, and that's what you've kept alive for 45 years. She stood still, holding Lily's hand. I'm not asking you to fight a war. I'm asking you to do what you've always done, stand between the innocent and the darkness. My granddaughter is innocent, and the darkness is coming, whether you stand or not. Axel looked at Lily, at her dirty face and bloody feet, at her torn pink dress and her ancient eyes. She looked back at him without flinching. You promised, she said quietly. You promised nobody would hurt my grandma. I did. Are you a liar? The question hit him like a punch to the gut. Axel Stone had been many things in his life. A drunk, a fighter, a fool. He'd made mistakes that kept him up at night, done things he wasn't proud of, but he'd never broken a promise to a child. Diesel. Yeah, Prez. Call the chapter. All of them. Full assembly at the clubhouse in 1 hour. We going to war? Axel looked at Eleanor Harper, at the founder of everything he'd dedicated his life to, at the tiny warrior who'd spent 45 years in exile protecting the legacy her husband died for. No, he said slowly. We're going to do what Steel Angels do. We're going to protect our own. She's not. She's the founder's widow, the original road captain, and that little girl is her blood. Axel crossed to the door. If that doesn't make them ours, nothing does. He paused in the doorway, looking back. 1 hour, Eleanor. Have that USB drive ready. Tell me everything you know about the Iron Wolves. And for God's sake, he gestured at Victor's unconscious form. Someone zip-tie this piece of garbage before he wakes up. He walked out into the Texas heat, his mind racing. Behind him, he heard Lily's voice, small but steady. Grandma, are those men going to help us? And Eleanor's response strong despite everything. Yes, baby. They're Steel Angels. It's what they do. Axel climbed on his bike and fired up the engine. The roar felt different now. Not just power, not just freedom. It felt like a promise he had no idea how to keep, but he was going to keep it anyway. The clubhouse was packed. Every member of the Steel Angels had answered the call. 28 men and women stood in the main hall, leather vests, shoulder to shoulder, waiting to hear why they'd been summoned on a Tuesday afternoon. Axel stood at the head of the room, Eleanor at his side. Lily sat with Mama Rose in the corner, wrapped in a blanket, watching everything with those 2 old eyes. Most of you were there when Lily Harper ran into our garage 3 hours ago, Axel began. Most of you rode with me to Cedar Street. You saw what we found. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. What you don't know, what none of us knew, is who Eleanor Harper really is. He turned to the elderly woman beside him. You want to tell them, or should I? Eleanor stepped forward. Her posture was ramrod straight, her chin high. She didn't look like a victim. She looked like a general addressing her troops. My name is Eleanor Harper, but 45 years ago, I was Ellie Morrison, and along with my husband William, I founded this club. Silence. Absolute stunned silence. You're lying. The voice came from the back. Razor, one of the younger members. The founders were William Harper and Bobby Martinez. Everyone knows that. Bobby was my husband's best friend. He took over after William was murdered. He protected me, helped me disappear, kept my existence a secret so the Iron Wolves couldn't finish what they started. The Iron Wolves, another voice. They disbanded in the 90s. They went underground, changed their name, expanded their operations. Eleanor's voice was ice. They've been running drugs and guns through 3 states for 30 years. And they've been hunting me the whole time. She held up the USB drive. I have proof of everything. Their crimes, their connections, the murder of my husband, possibly, her voice cracked for just a second, the murder of my daughter 2 years ago. Lily made a small sound from the corner. Mama Rose pulled her closer. What do you want from us? This from Diesel, his voice careful. We're not soldiers. I want you to be what you've always been, protectors. The Iron Wolves are coming. Not tonight, maybe not tomorrow, but soon. And when they come, they won't just come for me. She looked around the room, meeting every pair of eyes. They'll come for all of you, because you're wearing those patches, because you represent everything they tried to destroy, because as long as the Steel Angels exist, their victory over William isn't complete. Axel watched his brothers process this information, saw the fear on some faces, the anger on others, the uncertainty that rippled through the room like a wave. We have a choice, he said. We can walk away, turn Eleanor over to the FBI and hope they protect her, go back to our lives and pretend this never happened. He let that sit for a moment. Or we can do what William Harper built this club to do. We can stand between the innocent and the darkness. We can protect a woman who spent 45 years protecting our legacy. We can show the Iron Wolves that the Steel Angels don't run. We don't hide. We don't abandon our own. More silence. Then Diesel stood up. I didn't join this club to fix motorcycles and do charity rides. I joined because when I came back from Afghanistan with nothing, you gave me a family. You gave me purpose. He looked at Eleanor. If she's the one who started that, then she's my family too. I'm in. Marcus stood next, then Hawk, then Tommy. One by one, every member of the Steel Angels rose to their feet. Axel felt something swell in his chest. Pride, hope, terror, because he knew what was coming, and he knew they weren't ready, but they were going to stand anyway. All right, he turned to Eleanor. Tell us everything, every name, every connection, every weakness. If we're going to war with the Iron Wolves, we're going to win. Eleanor Harper smiled. And for just a second, Axel saw the woman she must have been 45 years ago. Fierce, unbreakable, unstoppable. Then let's begin. 3 hours later, Axel's head was spinning. The USB drive contained more information than he could process. Financial records, phone logs, surveillance photos, a web of corruption that stretched from local police departments to state legislators to federal officials. The Iron Wolves weren't just a motorcycle gang. They were an empire. How did you get all this? He asked Eleanor. They were alone in his office, the rest of the club dispersed to their various posts. 45 years of patience, 45 years of watching, 45 years of making friends in low places and high ones. She sipped the tea Mama Rose had made her. The FBI contact came through a woman I saved in Vietnam. She came home, went to law school, joined the bureau. Never forgot the nurse who held her hand while the doctors amputated her leg. And she just fed you information. I fed her information, everything I gathered, every crime I witnessed, every connection I made. Eleanor set down her cup. In exchange, she protected me, made sure the wolves never got too close, until now. What changed? Eleanor was quiet for a long moment. Vincent Kane happened. He took over the Iron Wolves 3 years ago. His father was the one who pulled the trigger on William, died in prison in 2010. Vincent spent his whole life preparing to finish what his father started. Why, after all these years, why does it matter? Because I'm a loose end. Because as long as I'm alive, there's someone who remembers what they did. Someone who can testify. Her eyes hardened. And because Vincent Kane is a sadist, he doesn't just want me dead. He wants me to suffer first. He wants me to watch everyone I love destroyed before he kills me. Axel thought of Lily, of her torn dress and bloody feet, of her promise that she'd find the angels. That's why they went after your daughter. It wasn't a question. Eleanor nodded slowly. Sarah, my baby girl. She had no idea about any of this. I kept her out of it, raised her far from the club, never told her about her father's legacy. She grew up normal, happy, got married, had Lily built a beautiful life. And they took it from her. The accident report said her brakes failed. Mechanical error, it happens. Eleanor's voice was bitter. But Sarah had that car serviced 2 weeks before. I checked. The mechanic was found dead 3 days later. Apparent suicide. Jesus. Sarah died thinking her father was a nobody who was shot in a random robbery. She died not knowing she was the daughter of a legend, not knowing the real reason she lost her father before she was born. Eleanor's hands trembled around her teacup. That's my greatest shame. That I protected her so well, she never knew who she really was. You kept her alive for 40 years. That's not nothing. And then I got her killed anyway. Eleanor's voice cracked. Because I got complacent. Because I stopped watching. Because I thought 40 years was long enough. She looked at Axel with eyes full of a grief too deep to name. Lily is all I have left. The last piece of Sarah. The last piece of William. If they take her, they won't. You can't promise that. Watch me. Axel stood and walked to the window. Outside, the sun was setting over Cedar Falls, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple. When I took over this club, I didn't know what I was getting into. Bobby was dying, and he told me the Steel Angels needed a leader who believed in something. I asked him what he believed in. You know what he said? Eleanor shook her head. He said, I believe that strength protects and violence corrupts. I believe that one good man can hold back the darkness. And I believe that anyone who wears these wings has a responsibility to be that man. Axel turned back to face her. I didn't know where those words came from. I didn't know they were your words, but I've tried to live by them every day for 10 years, and I'm not going to stop now. Eleanor's eyes glistened. William used to say that, every meeting, every ride. Strength protects, violence corrupts. It was our founding principle. Then let's make sure it's our victory too. A knock at the door. Diesel's face appeared. Prez, we got a problem. What kind? The FBI agent Eleanor's been working with Agent Chen. Diesel's expression was grim. She just pulled up outside, with 4 black SUVs and about 15 agents in tactical gear. Eleanor stood so fast her tea spilled across the desk. No, it's too soon. We're not ready. Ready for what? Axel demanded, but Eleanor was already moving toward the door. Agent Chen wouldn't come in force unless something had gone wrong, unless the timeline had accelerated. She stopped at the threshold and looked back. Unless the Iron Wolves are already here. Agent Lisa Chen was a small woman with sharp eyes and a sharper tongue. She stood in the Steel Angels' main hall like she owned it, 15 armed agents at her back. Eleanor, her voice was clipped. We need to talk. Now. You couldn't have called. Phones aren't secure, not anymore. Chen's eyes swept the room, taking in the bikers, the patches, the barely concealed hostility. The Iron Wolves have people inside the bureau. We've known for years, but we didn't know who. Now we do. Who? My boss, Assistant Director Williams. He's been feeding them information for 2 decades. Chen's jaw tightened. He knows everything, Eleanor. Your location, your routines, your granddaughter's school schedule. Lily, who had been quietly coloring in the corner, looked up at the mention of her school. How long do we have? Eleanor asked. Hours, maybe less. Williams tipped them off the second Victor Cross missed his check-in. They're mobilizing now. Full chapter plus backup from their Texas allies. How many? So 60, maybe 70. The room went cold. Axel stepped forward. We have 28 members. 30, if you count Eleanor and Mama Rose. Then you're outnumbered 2-1. 3-1 if we're being honest. Most of our people haven't been in a real fight in years. Agent Chen nodded slowly. Which is why I'm here. Officially, I'm supposed to take Eleanor into protective custody. Move her to a safe house. Let the legal process play out. And unofficially, Chen looked at Eleanor. Something passed between them, 40 years of trust, of secrets, of promises kept in the dark. Unofficially, I'm tired of waiting. Williams has blocked every attempt to bring down the Iron Wolves for 20 years. As long as he's in charge, they'll never face justice. She reached into her jacket and pulled out a badge. I'm here to resign, and I'm here to help. She tossed the badge on the table. I have contacts in 4 other motorcycle clubs, veterans who owe me favors, women I served with who are now cops, judges, sheriffs in 3 different states. Her eyes met Axel's. The Iron Wolves think they're coming to clean up a loose end. They have no idea they're walking into a trap. A trap. Eleanor's been gathering evidence for 45 years. I've been building cases for 20. Tonight, we're not just going to defend this clubhouse. Agent Chen smiled, and it wasn't a nice smile. Tonight, we're going to end the Iron Wolves forever. Axel looked at Eleanor, at Agent Chen, at his brothers and sisters standing around the room outnumbered and outgunned, but not outmatched. What do you need from us? 3 hours. That's how long it'll take my contacts to mobilize. I need you to hold this position for 3 hours. Against 60 or 70 Iron Wolves, against whatever they send. Can you do it? Axel thought about running, about hiding, about handing Eleanor over and going back to his quiet life of poker games and charity rides. Then he thought about Lily, about her bloody feet and her torn dress, and her promise that the angels would help. 3 hours, he said. You'll have them. Agent Chen nodded. Then let's get to work. She turned and started barking orders at her agents. Eleanor moved to Lily's side, gathering the little girl in her arms. And Axel Stone, president of the Steel Angels, walked outside to watch the sun go down. Somewhere out there, the darkness was gathering. But so was the light. 3 hours. They could do this. They had to. The sun had barely disappeared behind the horizon when the first motorcycle engine rumbled in the distance. Axel's hand froze on the sandbag he'd been stacking. He tilted his head, listening. 1 engine, then 2, then a dozen more joining the chorus. That's not ours, Diesel said quietly. No, it's not. Axel grabbed his radio. Everyone inside. Now. They're early. The Steel Angels moved fast. 28 men and women abandoning their positions around the perimeter, flooding back into the clubhouse. Agent Chen's FBI team had already disappeared into the shadows, setting up surveillance positions that would document everything without intervening. I thought we had 3 hours, Marcus hissed. So did I. Eleanor appeared at Axel's elbow. Her face was pale, but her eyes were steady. Vincent Kane doesn't wait. He never has. His father was patient, a planner. Vincent is a storm. How many? Listen. Axel listened. The engines were multiplying. What had started as a dozen was now 20, 30, more. All of them, Eleanor whispered. He brought all of them. Grandma, Lily's voice cut through the tension. She stood in the doorway to the back room, clutching the blanket Mama Rose had wrapped her in. I'm scared. Eleanor crossed to her granddaughter in 3 quick strides. She knelt down, taking Lily's face in her hands. Remember what I taught you. When you're scared, what do? Breathe. Count to 10. Find something to hold on to. That's right. And what are you holding on to right now? Lily's small hand pressed against her grandmother's chest, right over her heart. You. Then you have nothing to be scared of, because I'm not going anywhere. Promise. Eleanor hesitated, just for a fraction of a second, but Lily caught it. You can't promise, can you? Lily. It's okay, Grandma. The little girl's voice was eerily calm. Mommy couldn't promise either. Before the accident, she said she'd pick me up from school, and then she didn't. Eleanor's composure cracked. Tears spilled down her weathered cheeks. Baby, I'm so sorry. Don't be sorry. Just fight. Lily pulled back and looked at her grandmother with those ancient eyes. You taught me that bad people don't stop until someone stops them. So stop them, Grandma. Stop them, like you stopped the man in our house. Eleanor stared at her granddaughter, 7 years old, orphaned, terrified, and somehow impossibly the bravest person in the room. When did you grow up so fast? When Mommy died, I had to. Axel turned away from the moment. It was too private, too raw, but Lily's words echoed in his head. Bad people don't stop until someone stops them. She was right. Diesel! His voice was sharp. How many exits? 3. Front door, back door, roof access. Block the roof. They'll try to come from above. On it. Marcus, get everyone who can't fight into the basement. Mama Rose, Lily, the prospects who've never seen action. I'm not hiding. Lily's voice rang out clear and defiant. Axel spun around. Excuse me. I said I'm not hiding. She stepped forward, shrugging off the blanket. I ran once today. I'm not running again. You're 7 years old. I know, but I can help. How? Lily's jaw set in a way that reminded Axel painfully of Eleanor. I can watch. I can listen. I can tell you if someone's sneaking up behind you. She held up a small walkie-talkie she'd taken from somewhere. Diesel showed me how to use this. I can be your eyes where you can't see. Axel opened his mouth to refuse, to insist she hide in the basement where it was safe. But Eleanor's hand on his arm stopped him. She's William's blood, the old woman said quietly. And mine. Harper's don't hide. She's a child. She's a survivor. There's a difference. The engines outside grew louder, closer. Axel could feel them in his chest now, a rumble that shook the floor. Fine. He crouched to Lily's level. You stay with Mama Rose. You stay in the back room. You watch the cameras. He pointed to the security monitors. And you tell us if you see anything. But if I say run, you run. No arguments. Deal. Lily stuck out her hand like a tiny businesswoman. Deal. They shook on it. Outside, the engines died. All at once, like someone had cut a switch. Silence. Then a voice amplified by a bullhorn shattered the quiet. Eleanor Harper, I know you're in there. I know the Steel Angels are protecting you. And I know you think you're safe. Vincent Kane. Axel had never heard the man's voice before, but he knew it instantly. There was something wrong with it. Something hollow. Like a human being with all the humanity scraped out. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to walk out that door in the next 60 seconds, alone, unarmed. And I'm going to finish what my father started 45 years ago. Axel moved to the window. Through a crack in the boards, he could see them. Motorcycles lined up in a perfect row. 50, 60, maybe more. And in front of them, a single man standing with a bullhorn in one hand and a gun in the other. Vincent Kane was tall, lean. His face was a mask of angles and shadows, like someone had carved him from stone and forgotten to add warmth. If you don't come out, we're coming in, and everyone inside dies. Men, women. He paused. Children. Lily made a small sound. Eleanor straightened her spine. I'm going out. Like hell you are. Axel grabbed her arm. He'll kill everyone if I don't. He'll kill everyone anyway. Men like that don't stop. You know that better than anyone. Then what do you suggest? Axel's mind raced. They were outnumbered 3-1. Outgunned. Surrounded. Agent Chen's reinforcements were still hours away. They needed time. Let me talk to him. He won't negotiate. I'm not going to negotiate. I'm going to buy us time. How? Axel smiled grimly. By being a bigger target than you. Before anyone could stop him, he walked to the front door and kicked it open. Vincent Kane. His voice carried across the empty space between the clubhouse and the army of motorcycles. I'm Axel Stone, president of the Steel Angels, and I've got something to say. Kane lowered his bullhorn. Even from 50 feet away, Axel could see the amusement on his face. The Steel Angels. I remember your club. You used to be something. Now you're just a bunch of old men playing dress-up. Maybe, but we're old men who don't scare easy. You should be scared. You're hiding a woman who's been a thorn in my family's side for 45 years. A woman who should have died alongside her husband. Why? The question seemed to catch Kane off guard. Why what? Why does it matter? It's been 45 years. Your father's dead. The old war is over. Why come all this way for one old woman? Kane's smile was a wound. Because she's the last one. The last person who remembers what we did. The last person who can testify. The last person who knows our shame. Shame. My father killed her husband in front of her. Shot him down like a dog in his own driveway. And then... Kane's voice dropped. He let her live. He had a gun. He had the opportunity. And he let her walk away. Sounds like mercy to me. Mercy. Kane spat the word. It wasn't mercy. It was weakness. My father spent the rest of his life regretting that moment. He died in prison broken and ashamed because he couldn't finish what he started. So this is about your father's legacy. This is about completing the work. This is about proving that the Iron Wolves don't leave loose ends. This is about making sure that when people speak of Vincent Kane, they speak of a man who finished what his father couldn't. Axel felt sick. Not because of the threat. He'd faced threats before. But because he recognized something in Kane's eyes. Something familiar. Something that reminded him of a younger version of himself. Obsession. Vincent Kane wasn't just a criminal. He was a man possessed by a ghost. Driven by a need to prove himself to a dead father who would never be satisfied. Let me tell you something about fathers, Axel said slowly. Mine was a drunk who beat my mother and abandoned us when I was 12. For 20 years I carried that weight. I fought, I drank, I destroyed everything I touched. All because I wanted to prove I was nothing like him. What's your point? My point is that you can spend your whole life trying to finish your father's business, or you can start your own. Your father was a murderer and a coward. You don't have to be. Kane stared at him for a long moment. Then he laughed. It was a horrible sound. Empty. Mechanical. You think you can therapize me? You think a few pretty words are going to make me turn around and ride away? He raised his gun. I didn't come here to talk stone. I came here to kill. Starting with you. The shot cracked through the night. Axel dove sideways, hitting the ground as the bullet sang past his ear. He rolled scrambled, found cover behind a concrete planter. More shots. Glass shattering. Wood splintering. The Steel Angels returning fire from the windows. Fall back! Axel screamed into his radio. Everyone fall back to the second line. He crawled toward the door. Bullets kicking up dirt around him. His shoulders screamed where he'd landed wrong. Blood dripped from a cut on his forehead. Hands grabbed him, Diesel and Marcus dragging him inside. You okay, Prez? I'm fine. Status. We've got 3 wounded, nothing serious, but they're moving. Axel looked through the shattered window. Kane's men were advancing, using their motorcycles as cover firing in coordinated bursts. Professional, disciplined, military. They've got training, he muttered. Real training. Kane recruits from ex-military, Eleanor said. She'd appeared beside him, a shotgun in her hands. Special forces, mercenaries, men who've killed for money and liked it. Perfect. Axel, Agent Chen's voice crackled through his earpiece. Reinforcements are 90 minutes out. Can you hold? I don't know. You have to. Easy for you to say. You're not the one getting shot at. Actually, I am. Kane's men just found our surveillance position. We're moving to secondary. The connection went dead. Axel took a breath, then another. Then he grabbed his gun and stood up. Listen to me, he said to his brothers. We're outgunned, outmanned, outmatched. But we've got something they don't. What's that? We're protecting someone we love. They're fighting for a dead man's pride. He looked around the room. At Diesel, bleeding from a gash on his arm. At Marcus, his face set in grim determination. At the prospects who'd never seen combat, pale and shaking but still standing. At Eleanor, the founder of everything they believed in. At Lily, watching from the security monitors, her small face lit by the glow of the screens. "We hold this line," Axel said. "We hold it until help arrives, or until there's no one left to hold it. Those are the only options." "What if help doesn't come?" "Then we make them pay for every inch. We make them remember that the steel angels don't break. We make them understand that this is what it means to be guardians." He racked his shotgun. "Strength protects. Violence corrupts. Let's show them the difference." The next wave hit like a tsunami. Kane's men came from 3 directions at once. Front door, side windows, roof access that Diesel hadn't quite finished blocking. The clubhouse became a war zone. Axel fired until his barrel glowed, reloaded, fired again. Around him, his brothers fought with everything they had. Diesel took a bullet to the leg and kept shooting from the floor. Marcus threw himself on a grenade that turned out to be a dud and laughed when he realized he wasn't dead. Tommy, the youngest of them, tackled an iron wolf who'd breached the side door and beat him unconscious with his bare hands. But they were losing. Slowly, inevitably, the iron wolves were pushing them back, room by room, inch by inch. "Fall back to the basement," Axel ordered. They retreated. Eleanor first, then Lily and Mama Rose, then the wounded, then everyone else. Axel stayed at the rear covering their withdrawal. A bullet caught him in the side. The pain was extraordinary, white-hot, blinding. He staggered, caught himself on a wall, kept moving. "Prez!" Diesel's voice was panicked. "You're hit." "I noticed." "Let me." "Keep moving. That's an order." They reached the basement. 23 people in a space meant for 10. The wounded groaning on makeshift beds, the able-bodied reloading their weapons with bloody hands. Axel slid down the wall, pressing his hand against the hole in his side. Blood seeped between his fingers. "How bad?" Eleanor asked, kneeling beside him. "I've had worse." "You're lying." "Probably." Eleanor's hands were gentle as she pulled his shirt away. Her face went pale. "The bullet's still inside. If we don't get it out..." "I know what happens if we don't get it out." Axel grabbed her wrist. "But right now, that doesn't matter. What matters is keeping you and Lily alive long enough for help to arrive." "Axel, listen to me." His voice was urgent. "Kane wants you. He'll do anything to get to you. But he won't kill the others if he doesn't have to. He wants a clean victory, a complete ending to his father's story." "What are you saying?" "I'm saying that if it comes down to it, you surrender. You walk out there, and you give yourself up. Not for me, for Lily, for everyone else." Eleanor's eyes hardened. "I've been running for 45 years. I'm done running." "This isn't running. This is protecting the people who protected you. And then what Kane kills me and everyone lives happily ever after. Kane kills you and goes to prison. Agent Chen has everything she needs. The evidence, the testimony. The moment Kane pulls that trigger, his life is over. That's not a victory. That's a sacrifice." "Sometimes they're the same thing." From across the room, Lily's voice cut through their argument. "Grandma! Axel! You need to see this." She was standing at the security monitors, her small hand pointing at the screen. Axel pulled himself up, ignoring the agony in his side. He limped to the monitors and looked. His heart stopped. Headlights. Dozens of them. Hundreds. Coming from every direction. "Kane's reinforcements," he breathed. But Lily shook her head. "Look at the patches." Axel squinted at the grainy footage, at the figures climbing off motorcycles, at the leather vests catching the moonlight. Angel wings, not steel angels. Different designs, different colors. But unmistakably, angel wings. "What the hell?" Eleanor made a sound that might have been a laugh or a sob. "I made a lot of friends in 45 years. A lot of people who owed me. A lot of people who never forgot the woman who started the Guardian movement." "You called them?" "I called everyone." She looked at Axel with tears streaming down her face. "I just didn't think they'd actually come. Outside, the new arrivals were engaging Kane's forces. The sound of battle changed. The Iron Wolves' organized assault broke apart as they suddenly found themselves fighting on two fronts. Axel watched it happen on the monitors, watched the reinforcements swarm the Iron Wolves from behind, watched Kane's disciplined army dissolve into chaos. "It's not over," he said quietly. "No," Eleanor agreed. But the odds just got a lot better. Diesel appeared at his shoulder. "Prez, we can push out, catch them in a crossfire." Axel looked at his wounded side, at his exhausted brothers, at the darkness outside that was suddenly full of allies. "Do it," he said. "Everyone who can still fight, we push out. We end this tonight." He turned to Lily. "Stay here. Guard your grandmother." Lily's eyes were wide but steady. "What if they come down here?" Axel pulled his backup pistol from his ankle holster and pressed it into her small hands. "Point and shoot. Don't hesitate. Don't think. Just protect her." "I'm 7. "I know. But tonight you're a steel angel." He kissed the top of her head, something he'd never done before, would probably never do again. And then he was moving. Up the stairs, through the ruined clubhouse, out into the night. The world was on fire. Motorcycles everywhere. Gunshots. Screams. The Iron Wolves scattered across the battlefield. Their formation shattered, their confidence broken. And in the middle of it all, Vincent Kane. He stood alone, his men falling around him, his face twisted with rage. Axel walked toward him. His side screamed with every step. His vision blurred at the edges. He could feel himself dying slowly, the blood loss catching up. But he kept walking. "Kane." Vincent spun. His gun came up. Axel was faster. His bullet caught Kane in the shoulder, spinning him around. Kane's gun flew from his grip. Axel closed the distance, grabbed Kane by the collar, pressed his own gun to the man's forehead. "It's over." Kane laughed. Blood bubbled at his lips. "Over, this is never over. You kill me, someone else will come. The Iron Wolves don't forget. The Iron Wolves don't forgive. The Iron Wolves don't exist anymore. Look around." Kane looked. At his men surrendering. At the angel wing patches everywhere. At the FBI agents emerging from the shadows. "No," he whispered. "No, this can't. Your father failed 45 years ago. And tonight so did you." Axel leaned close. "The difference is, you get to live with it." He pulled back his gun and brought it down hard on Kane's skull. Vincent Kane crumpled to the ground. Behind him, Axel heard cheering. His brothers, the reinforcements, everyone celebrating a victory that had seemed impossible. But Axel couldn't celebrate, because his legs were giving out, because the ground was rushing up to meet him, because the last thing he heard before the darkness took him was a 7-year-old girl screaming his name. Lily's scream tore through the chaos like a blade. She had broken free from the basement the moment she heard the gunshots stop. Mama Rose tried to grab her, but the old woman wasn't fast enough. Lily was up the stairs through the ruined clubhouse out into the night before anyone could stop her. And now she was kneeling in the dirt beside Axel Stone, her small hands pressed against the wound in his side, blood seeping through her fingers. "Don't die. Don't die. Don't die." The words came out in a desperate rhythm, a prayer, a command. "Please, God, please don't take him too. Please. I'll be good forever. I'll never complain. Just don't take him." Diesel reached her first. He dropped to his knees, his own wounded leg screaming in protest, and pressed his hands over hers. "He's breathing. He's still breathing. We need a medic. Now!" Someone was running. Someone was shouting. The world had dissolved into noise and motion and the terrible stillness of Axel's face. Eleanor arrived. She pushed through the crowd with the authority of a woman who had commanded men in war zones. "Move. Everyone move. Give him air." She knelt beside her granddaughter, her trained eyes assessing the damage, the entry wound, the blood loss, the pallor of Axel's skin. "He needs surgery. Immediately." "Chopper's 10 minutes out," Agent Chen said, appearing at her side. "Can he last that long?" "I don't know." "Grandma." Lily's voice was breaking. "Grandma, fix him. You're a nurse. You can fix him." Eleanor's heart shattered. Baby, I need you to listen to me. I need you to keep pressure on that wound. Can you do that? Yes. Don't let go. No matter what. Don't let go. I won't. Eleanor turned to Diesel. Get me the first aid kit from the clubhouse. The big one. And find me something, clean towels, shirts, anything. On it. She turned to Agent Chen. That chopper better be the fastest one you've got. It is. It better be. Axel's eyes fluttered. His lips moved, but no sound came out. Lily leaned closer. What? What are you saying? His voice was barely a whisper. Did we win? Tears streamed down Lily's face. Yes, you won. You saved Grandma. You saved everyone. Good. His eyes drifted closed. That's good. Stay awake. Stay awake. Lily shook him gently. You promised. You promised nobody would hurt my grandma. You kept your promise. Now you have to stay alive so I can say thank you properly. Axel's lips twitched, almost a smile. Bossy. Kid. I learned from the best. Diesel returned with supplies. Eleanor worked quickly, her hands remembering skills she hadn't used in decades. Packing the wound, applying pressure, slowing the bleeding. Pulse is weak, but steady, she reported. He's a fighter. He's an idiot, Diesel said, but his voice cracked. Walking out there alone, facing down Kane like some kind of hero, Lily finished. He's a hero. Nobody argued. The helicopter arrived in 8 minutes, not 10. Medical personnel swarmed the area, loading Axel onto a stretcher with practiced efficiency. Lily refused to let go of his hand. I'm coming with him. Sweetie, you can't. I'm coming with him. Her voice left no room for argument. He saved my grandma. I'm not leaving him alone. The paramedic looked at Eleanor. Eleanor looked at her granddaughter. Let her go, she said softly. Someone should be with him. The helicopter lifted off with Lily inside her small hand, still clutching Axel's larger one. Eleanor watched it disappear into the night sky, and for the first time in 45 years, she let herself cry. Not for William, not for Sarah, not for herself. For a 7-year-old girl who had grown up too fast and a stranger who had become family in a single night. The battlefield quieted. Iron Wolves were being loaded into FBI vans, their hands zip-tied behind their backs. Wounded Steel Angels were receiving medical attention. The reinforcements riders from clubs Eleanor had helped over the decades were standing guard, ensuring no one escaped. Agent Chen approached Eleanor with a tablet in her hand. Final count. 62 Iron Wolves captured, 12 wounded, none killed. And Kane, alive, unconscious, on his way to a federal detention facility. Chen's face was grim but satisfied. With the evidence you've gathered, he's looking at multiple life sentences. No parole, no deals. His father died in prison. Seems fitting that he will too. There's something else. Chen swiped to a new screen. We arrested Assistant Director Williams an hour ago. He was trying to destroy evidence when our team reached him. He's already talking, trying to cut a deal. Will you give him one? Not a chance. He's been protecting the Iron Wolves for 20 years, feeding them information, warning them about raids. He's responsible for dozens of deaths, including... Chen paused. Including what? Including Sarah Harper, your daughter. Eleanor's world stopped. What did you say? Williams approved the operation. He's the one who gave the order to make it look like an accident. Chen's voice was gentle but firm. Your daughter wasn't just caught in the crossfire, Eleanor. She was targeted, deliberately, because Kane believed that killing Sarah would draw you out of hiding. Eleanor's knees buckled. Strong hands caught her. Diesel, his face pale, his wounded legs somehow holding both of them up. Easy, I've got you. They murdered my baby. Eleanor's voice was barely human. They murdered my baby to get to me. Yes. And Williams knew. He approved it. Yes. Something broke inside Eleanor Harper. Something that had been holding together for 2 years since the moment she got the call about Sarah's accident. Something she had pushed down, buried, refused to examine because examining it would have destroyed her. Now it was out. Now it was real. Now there was no denying it anymore. Her daughter hadn't died in an accident. Her daughter had been murdered because of her. "I need to see him," Eleanor whispered. "Williams, I need to look him in the eye." "Eleanor, I'm not going to hurt him. I just need to see him. I need to understand how a human being could do what he did." Chen hesitated. "Please, I've waited 45 years for answers. I've lost my husband, my daughter, nearly lost my granddaughter. I deserve to know why." "You do deserve that." Chen put her hand on Eleanor's shoulder. "I'll arrange it, after the dust settles, after Axel's out of surgery." "Axel?" Eleanor wiped her face with trembling hands. "I need to get to the hospital." "I'll drive you," Diesel offered. "Your leg will be fine. It's just a scratch." "It's a bullet wound." "Same thing." He managed a weak grin. "Besides, someone needs to make sure you don't do anything crazy." Eleanor laughed. It was a broken sound, but it was real. "I'm 78 years old. I think my crazy days are behind me." "Ma'am, with all due respect, you put a 250-pound enforcer in the hospital with your bare hands this afternoon. I don't think your crazy days are anywhere close to over." They drove through the night in silence. The roads were empty. The world felt suspended, holding its breath. Eleanor stared out the window, watching streetlights flash past like memories. She thought about William, about the way he used to laugh, about the way he'd hold her after a nightmare, stroking her hair, whispering that everything would be okay. She thought about Sarah, about her first steps, her first words, her first day of school, about the woman she'd become, strong, kind, brave, a good mother, a good person. Gone now. Both of them. Gone. Because of men who valued power over people, who valued control over compassion, who valued their own twisted legacy over human life. "You're thinking too loud," Diesel said. "How can you tell?" "Because you've got that look. The one Axel gets when he's about to do something stupid." Eleanor smiled faintly. "What kind of look is that? Like you're planning to burn down the whole world and you're just deciding where to light the match." "Maybe I am." "Don't." Diesel's voice was firm. "You've won, Eleanor. Kane's going to prison. Williams is going to prison. The Iron Wolves are finished. You don't need to burn anything. It won't bring them back. William, Sarah, all those years. No, it won't." Diesel pulled into the hospital parking lot. "But you've still got Lily. You've still got a life. And if tonight taught me anything, it's that you've still got a whole lot of people who care about you." Eleanor looked at him, really looked at him. "Why did you come when Axel called? When he said a stranger needed help? Why did you drop everything and ride?" Diesel was quiet for a long moment. "Because that's what we do," he finally said. "That's what being a Steel Angel means. We protect people. We stand between the innocent and the darkness. We don't ask questions first. We just show up. Even when it's dangerous, especially then." He turned off the engine. "You started something, Eleanor. 45 years ago. You and William. You built a family for people who didn't have one. You gave us a code to live by. And even though you weren't there, even though we didn't know you existed, we kept it alive. Because it mattered. Because it was worth keeping." His voice caught. "You're not just the founder of our club. You're the reason we exist. And tonight we finally got to show you what that means." Eleanor reached over and took his hand. "Thank you. Don't thank me, thank Lily. She's the one who came running into our garage screaming for help." Diesel squeezed her fingers. "Bravest damn kid I've ever seen." They found Lily in the surgical waiting room. She was sitting in a plastic chair far too big for her, her feet dangling above the floor. Her pink dress was ruined, torn, bloody, covered in dirt. Her face was pale. Her eyes were red. But she wasn't crying anymore. "Grandma." She jumped up and ran to Eleanor. "They won't tell me anything. They just keep saying he's in surgery and I have to wait." Eleanor scooped her up, holding her tight. Then we wait together. Is he going to be okay? I don't know, baby, but he's strong and he's stubborn, and he's got a lot to live for. Like what? Eleanor thought about it. Like making sure you grow up safe. Like watching his club become something even better than it already is. Like proving that good men can still make a difference in this world. Lily was quiet. Grandma, yes, baby. I don't want to lose anyone else. Mommy's gone. Daddy's been gone forever. I can't lose you. I can't lose Axel. I can't. Eleanor's heart broke all over again. You won't lose me. I promise. I'm not going anywhere. But you said... I know what I said. I was wrong. Eleanor held Lily at arm's length, looking into those ancient eyes. For 45 years I've been running, hiding, protecting myself instead of living. That ends tonight. What do you mean? I mean that I'm done being afraid. I'm done letting the bad guys win by stealing my life. I'm going to be here, really here for you, for as long as God gives me. Promise. I promise. Lily buried her face in Eleanor's shoulder. I love you, Grandma. I love you too, baby. More than anything in this world. The hours crawled by. Diesel fell asleep in his chair, his wounded leg propped up on a magazine table. Eleanor paced. Lily watched the surgery doors like a hawk, ready to pounce on anyone who emerged. At 3 a.m, the doors finally opened. A surgeon in blood-spattered scrubs walked toward them. Her face was exhausted, but not grim. Lily was on her feet before the woman could speak. Is he okay? Is Axel okay? The surgeon looked at Eleanor, then at Lily. He's stable. We got the bullet out. There was significant internal bleeding, but we were able to repair the damage. She paused. He's going to need several weeks of recovery, but barring complications, he should make a full recovery. Lily burst into tears. This time, they were tears of relief. Can we see him? Eleanor asked. He's still unconscious, but yes, briefly, he needs rest. They followed the surgeon through a maze of corridors to a private room. Axel lay in the hospital bed, pale and still connected to monitors that beeped a steady rhythm. He looked smaller somehow, diminished, the larger-than-life biker reduced to a fragile human being. Lily approached the bed slowly. She reached out and touched his hand. His fingers were cold, but they twitched at her touch. I knew you wouldn't die, she whispered. I knew it. Eleanor stood in the doorway watching. This man, this stranger who had ridden to her rescue without question, who had faced down an army to protect a woman he'd never met, who had taken a bullet and kept fighting. William would have loved him. Sarah would have trusted him, and Lily had already claimed him as family. Maybe that was enough. Maybe that was the answer she'd been searching for all these years. Not revenge, not justice, not even closure. Just this. Just family. Just the people who showed up when everything fell apart. Eleanor. Axel's voice was a rasp, barely audible. She moved to his bedside. I'm here. Did we won. Thanks to you. Good. His eyes struggled to focus. The kid, right here, Lily piped up. I'm right here, Axel. His lips curved, almost a smile. Told you, you were steel angel material. Lily giggled through her tears. You're crazy. Probably. His eyes found Eleanor. Your husband. Would he be proud? Eleanor felt tears threatening again. Yes, he would be so proud. Good. Axel's eyes drifted closed. That's what I wanted. He was asleep before he could finish the sentence. Eleanor stayed by his bed until dawn. Lily fell asleep curled up in a chair. her small hand still reaching toward Axel's bed. Diesel snored softly in the corner, his wounded leg elevated on pillows a nurse had brought. And Eleanor watched, thought, remembered. 45 years ago, she had stood in a hospital room just like this one, watching her husband die. The iron wolves had shot him in the stomach. He'd lived long enough to hold her hand, long enough to tell her he loved her, long enough to make her promise that she would survive. She had kept that promise through 45 years of hiding, through the birth of her daughter and the death of her husband's memory, through Sarah's life and Sarah's death, through Lily's birth and the growing certainty that the past would eventually catch up. She had survived. But survival wasn't the same as living. Now, watching Axel sleep, watching Lily dream, Eleanor made a new promise. No more hiding. No more running. No more letting fear dictate her choices. She was done surviving. It was time to start living. The sun rose over Cedar Falls. Agent Chen arrived with coffee and news. Kane's awake. He's refusing to talk, but it doesn't matter. We have enough evidence to bury him 10 times over. She handed Eleanor a steaming cup. Williams is singing like a bird. Names, dates, account numbers. He's implicating everyone from local cops to federal judges. How deep does it go? Deep. This is going to take years to fully unravel. Chen sat down across from her. But it's happening, finally, after all this time. And Sarah's case? Reopened. Officially ruled a homicide. The men who carried out the hit are already in custody. They'll face murder charges. Eleanor absorbed this. Will it bring her back? No, nothing will bring her back. Chen's voice was gentle. But it might help you move forward. I don't know if I can. You can. Chen nodded toward Lily still sleeping. You have to. For her. Eleanor looked at her granddaughter, 7 years old, orphaned, traumatized, and somehow impossibly still capable of hope. She ran barefoot through the streets to find help for me, Eleanor murmured. 6 blocks, bleeding feet, torn dress. She didn't stop. She didn't hesitate. Sounds familiar. What do you mean? Chen smiled. 45 years ago, a pregnant woman watched her husband die. The killers were still outside. She could have hidden, could have waited for them to leave. Instead, she climbed out a back window, ran through the woods, and flagged down a police car on the highway. How do you know that? You told me 20 years ago when we first started working together. You said it was the bravest thing you ever did. Eleanor's hand trembled on her coffee cup. I was terrified. So was Lily. But she ran anyway, because bravery isn't the absence of fear. It's action in spite of fear. Chen stood up. You raised that girl, Eleanor. Maybe not directly, but everything good in her came from you. Through Sarah. Through the legacy you built. She patted Eleanor's shoulder. Don't waste time doubting yourself. You've already proven who you are. Lily woke up at 8. Her first words were, Is Axel still alive? Her second words after Eleanor confirmed that yes, he was, were, Good. I'm hungry. They found breakfast in the hospital cafeteria. Pancakes and orange juice and bacon that was somehow both burnt and undercooked. Lily ate like she hadn't seen food in days. Grandma. Yes, baby. What happens now? Eleanor considered the question. Now we wait for Axel to get better. We talk to the police. We go home. She paused, remembering the destruction of the yellow house. Or we find a new home, and we start over. Start over. Build a new life, a better one. One where we don't have to be afraid anymore. Lily chewed her pancake thoughtfully. Will the Steel Angels still be our friends? I think so. Yes, I think they're more than friends now. What are they? Eleanor smiled. Family. Lily nodded, satisfied. Good. I like them, especially Diesel. He's funny. He is, isn't he? And Axel, he's grumpy, but in a nice way. That's a good way to describe him. Grandma. Lily's voice grew serious. Can I ask you something? Anything, baby. Did bad men really kill my mommy? Eleanor's throat closed. She had hoped to have this conversation later, much later, when Lily was older, when the wounds weren't so fresh, but Lily deserved the truth. Yes, baby, bad men killed your mommy. Why? Because they wanted to hurt me, and they knew that hurting Sarah would hurt me more than anything else. Lily absorbed this. So it's your fault. The words were a knife in Eleanor's heart. In a way, yes. I suppose it is. That's stupid, Eleanor blinked. What? It's stupid, Grandma. You didn't kill Mommy. Bad men did. That's their fault, not yours. But if you had what not existed, then I wouldn't exist either, and Mommy wouldn't have existed, and all those people you helped wouldn't have been helped. Lily set down her fork. Sometimes bad things happen because of bad people. That's not the same as it being your fault. Eleanor stared at her granddaughter, 7 years old, wiser than most adults she'd ever known. When did you get so smart? Mommy used to say the same thing. I think I was just born this way. Eleanor laughed. It was wet and broken and beautiful. I think you're right, baby. I think you were born exactly the way you were supposed to be. They were still sitting in the cafeteria when Diesel found them. His face was pale. His eyes were wild. We've got a problem. Eleanor stood immediately. What kind of problem? Cain escaped. The words hit Eleanor like a physical blow. What do you mean escaped? He was in federal custody. Diesel's hands were shaking. Transport van. 30 minutes ago, someone ambushed it on the highway. 2 agents dead. Cain's gone. Lily grabbed Eleanor's arm. Her face had gone white. He's coming for us, isn't he? Eleanor didn't answer. She didn't have to. Where's Agent Chen? She demanded. On her way. She's mobilizing every unit in the state. That won't be fast enough. Eleanor's mind was racing. Cain knows this hospital. He knows we're here. He knows Axel can't move. We need to get you out. And go where he found me after 45 years of hiding. He'll find me anywhere. Then what do we do? Eleanor looked at her granddaughter, at the fear in those ancient eyes, at the determination that burned beneath it. We stop running. Grandma? No. Eleanor's voice was steel. I ran after William died. I hid. I let fear control my life for 45 years. And what did it get me? Sarah's dead. My home is destroyed, and now a madman is hunting my granddaughter. She grabbed Diesel's arm. Get me to Axel's room, now. They moved through the hospital corridors at a near run. Lily struggled to keep up her small legs pumping furiously. Axel was awake when they burst through the door. His face was gray, his body weak, but his eyes were alert. I heard. His voice was stronger than it had been hours ago. Diesel radioed ahead. Can you move? I can try. That's not good enough. Eleanor moved to his bedside. We need a plan. Cain's coming. He won't stop until he finishes what he started. Then we don't let him finish. Axel struggled to sit up, wincing as his stitches pulled. How many Steel Angels are still in the area? 12. The rest went home after the battle. Call them back. That'll take hours. Then we hold with 12. Axel swung his legs over the side of the bed. Get me my clothes. You just had surgery. I'll have a funeral if Cain gets his hands on any of you. He grabbed Diesel's shoulder for support. Clothes, now. A nurse appeared in the doorway. Sir, you can't. Ma'am, with all due respect, there's a killer coming to this hospital. You can either help me walk out of here or watch me crawl. Your choice. The nurse's face cycled through shock confusion and finally grim acceptance. I'll get a wheelchair. I don't need... You'll take the wheelchair or I'll sedate you myself. The nurse's voice left no room for argument. I've dealt with stubborn patients before. You're not special. Despite everything, Lily giggled. Axel shot her a look. Something funny. She sounds like Grandma. She does, doesn't she? Eleanor's phone buzzed. Agent Chen. Tell me you have good news. I don't. Cain's not alone. He's got at least 6 men with him. We think they were a backup team waiting in case the main assault failed. Where are they now? We don't know, but Eleanor, Chen's voice dropped. He took something from the transport van, something personal. What? A photograph. Of Lily. It was in the evidence folder. Eleanor's blood turned to ice. How did he get a photograph of my granddaughter? Williams. He had surveillance on your family for years. Photos, schedules, routines. Kane has all of it now. Eleanor looked at Lily, at the little girl who had already lost so much, who was about to lose even more if Eleanor couldn't protect her. He's not going to hurt her, Eleanor said quietly. I won't let him. Eleanor, you need to get out of there. We have a safe house. Safe houses didn't save Sarah. Running didn't save William. I'm done letting other people protect my family. She ended the call before Chen could respond. Grandma, Lily's voice was small. What did she say? Eleanor knelt down, taking her granddaughter's hands. She said the bad man has a picture of you. He knows what you look like. Lily's chin trembled, but she didn't cry. Is he going to hurt me? No, baby. He's not going to get anywhere near you. How do you know? Because I won't let him. Because Axel won't let him. Because every steel angel in this city won't let him. But what if? No what ifs. Eleanor's voice was fierce. I failed your mother. I wasn't there when she needed me. But I'm here now. And I swear on your grandfather's grave, I will not fail you. Lily threw her arms around Eleanor's neck. I believe you, Grandma. Good. Now I need you to be brave for just a little longer. Can you do that? I can try. That's my girl. The nurse returned with a wheelchair. Axel practically collapsed into it, his face contorted with pain. Diesel, status. I've got 8 brothers in the parking garage. Marcus is setting up a perimeter. Tommy's watching the entrances. Not enough. It's what we've got. Axel's jaw tightened. Then we make it enough. Get me to the garage. We're turning this hospital into a fortress. They moved as a unit through the hospital corridors. Axel in the wheelchair, Diesel pushing. Eleanor and Lily in the center, protected on all sides. Patients stared. Staff whispered. Security guards reached for their radios. Don't bother, Axel told one of them. We're the good guys. The bad guys are on their way. The parking garage was chaos. Steel angels in leather vests, checking weapons, setting up defensive positions. The reinforcements from other clubs were gone, but the core members remained, their faces grim and determined. Marcus met them at the elevator. We've got eyes on all entrances, motion sensors on the stairwells. If Kane comes through here, we'll know. He won't come through the obvious way, Eleanor said. He's too smart for that. Then how? Eleanor thought about Vincent Kane, about his obsession, his patience, his willingness to wait years for the perfect moment. He'll come through somewhere we don't expect, somewhere we think is safe. Like where? Eleanor's eyes swept the garage, the cars, the concrete pillars, her blood froze, the ambulance bay. What? There's an ambulance entrance on the east side, emergency vehicles only, minimal security because they assume only medical personnel use it. Marcus was already on his radio. Tommy, check the ambulance bay. Now. Static. Tommy respond. More static. Then a voice that wasn't Tommy's. Hello, Eleanor. Vincent Kane. I have to admit I'm impressed. You've survived longer than anyone I've ever hunted. Most people break within days. You lasted 45 years. Let Tommy go. He's not hurt, just unconscious. I'm not interested in your little biker friends. I'm interested in you. Eleanor's hand tightened on her phone. What do you want? You know what I want. The same thing my father wanted. The same thing the Iron Wolves have always wanted. Kane's voice dropped to a whisper. I want you to watch everyone you love die. And then I want to watch the light leave your eyes. You're insane. Maybe. But I'm also inside the building. The line went dead. Move, Axel shouted. Everyone to the east wing. Now. They ran. Axel abandoned the wheelchair, forcing himself to his feet through sheer willpower. Blood seeped through his bandages. He didn't care. Diesel took point. Marcus covered the rear. Eleanor carried Lily, refusing to let her feet touch the ground. They burst through a set of double doors into the emergency wing and found themselves face to face with Vincent Kane. He stood in the center of the hallway, flanked by 6 men in black. His face was bruised from Axel's earlier blow, but his eyes burned with manic intensity. There she is. His smile was a wound. The woman who ruined my family. Your family ruined itself. Eleanor set Lily down behind her, shielding the child with her body. Your father was a murderer, a drug dealer, a coward. My father was a king. Kane raised his gun. And you killed him. I didn't kill anyone. The justice system. The justice system. Kane laughed. You fed them information for 40 years. You built cases against every iron wolf you could find. You destroyed our legacy piece by piece. Your legacy was built on blood and suffering. It deserved to be destroyed. And now your legacy will be destroyed. Kane's eyes found Lily peering out from behind Eleanor's legs. Starting with her. Axel stepped forward. You want to hurt that little girl, you go through me first. You can barely stand. Try me. Kane studied him for a long moment. You know I respect you, Stone. You fought harder than anyone I've ever faced. You took a bullet and kept coming. In another life, we might have been allies. In another life, you might have been human. Kane's smile vanished. Kill him. His men raised their weapons, and then everything happened at once. The emergency room doors exploded inward. FBI agents in tactical gear flooded the hallway, guns drawn, shouting commands. Agent Chen's voice cut through the chaos. FBI, drop your weapons now. Kane's men hesitated. Kane didn't. He grabbed Lily. The little girl screamed as Kane yanked her away from Eleanor, pressing his gun to her temple. Nobody move. Kane's voice was wild. Nobody move or I blow her head off. The world froze. Eleanor's heart stopped beating. Lily's eyes were huge, terrified, but she wasn't crying. She was looking at her grandmother with absolute trust, absolute faith. Let her go. Eleanor's voice was barely human. She's 7 years old. She has nothing to do with this. She has everything to do with this. She's your blood, your legacy, the last piece of you that matters. Kane pressed the gun harder against Lily's head. Drop your weapons, all of you, or I kill her right now. The FBI agents looked at Chen. Chen looked at Eleanor. Eleanor looked at Lily. And Lily. Lily bit down on Kane's hand as hard as she could. Kane screamed. His grip loosened for just a fraction of a second. It was enough. Lily dropped to the floor, rolling away as Eleanor lunged forward. 78 years old, and she moved like a woman half her age. Her fist connected with Kane's jaw. Her knee drove into his stomach. Her elbow slammed into his throat. Kane staggered backward, gasping for air. And Axel was there, despite his wounds, despite the blood soaking through his shirt, despite the fact that he should have been unconscious on the floor. He caught Kane's gun arm, twisted, heard bones snap. Kane screamed again. Axel drove him to the ground, knee on his chest, fist raised for the killing blow. This is for everyone you've ever hurt, Axel snarled. For Sarah, for William, for every person your family destroyed. Do it. Kane's voice was a wheeze. Kill me. Prove you're no better than us. Axel's fist trembled. He wanted to do it. God, he wanted to do it. Wanted to feel Kane's skull crack under his knuckles. Wanted to watch the light leave those evil eyes. But then he felt it. A small hand on his shoulder. Don't. Lily's voice was calm, steady. He wants you to kill him. He wants you to become like him. Don't give him what he wants. Axel looked at her. At this 7-year-old girl who had just escaped death, who had every right to want revenge, who was instead choosing mercy. He killed your mother. I know. Tears streamed down Lily's face. But killing him won't bring her back. And Grandma said violence corrupts. I don't want you to be corrupted. Axel's fist lowered. He looked at Kane, at the hatred in those eyes, at the emptiness behind them. You're not worth it, Axel said quietly. You're not worth losing my soul. He stood up. Kane lunged, one last desperate attempt to grab Lily to hurt anyone. Agent Chen's bullet caught him in the shoulder. He went down hard, screaming, clutching his wound. FBI agents swarmed him, pinning him to the floor, zip-tying his hands behind his back. It was over. Finally, completely, irrevocably over. Eleanor collapsed to her knees, pulling Lily into her arms. Baby, are you okay? Did he hurt you? I'm fine, Grandma. Lily's voice was muffled against Eleanor's chest. I bit him really hard, like you taught me. Eleanor laughed. It was a wild sound, half sob, half relief. That's my girl. That's my brave, brilliant girl. Axel swayed on his feet. Diesel caught him before he fell. Easy, Prez. Easy. It's over. Is everyone? Everyone's fine. We won. Axel's eyes found Eleanor and Lily still holding each other on the hospital floor. Yeah, he whispered. We did. Then his eyes rolled back and he collapsed completely. This time Eleanor didn't panic. She just smiled. Get him back to surgery, she told the stunned medical staff. And this time maybe use stronger stitches. The cleanup took hours. Kane and his men were hauled away in armored vehicles. The FBI secured the hospital, took statements, documented everything. Agent Chen found Eleanor in the waiting room, Lily asleep in her lap. It's really over this time, Chen said quietly. Kane's facing federal charges. Life without parole minimum. Probably multiple consecutive sentences. And Williams. Singing louder than ever, he's implicated 17 other officials. This is going to be the biggest corruption scandal in FBI history. Chen sat down beside her. You did it, Eleanor. 45 years of work and you finally brought them down. I had help. You had a lot of help, but it started with you. Chen pulled out a folder. There's something else. Something I wanted to tell you personally. What? The investigation into Sarah's death. It's complete. Chen's voice was gentle. We have full confessions from the men who carried out the hit. We know exactly what happened, why it happened, and who ordered it. Eleanor's throat tightened. And you were right. It wasn't an accident. But Eleanor, Chen paused. There's something you should know, something that might bring you some peace. What? Sarah knew. Eleanor's world tilted. What? Sarah knew about you. About William. About the Iron Wolves. She found out 3 years before she died. Chen handed over the folder. We found journals in her apartment, letters she never sent. She knew everything, Eleanor, and she was proud of you. Eleanor's hands shook as she opened the folder. Inside was a photograph. Sarah smiling at the camera holding baby Lily, and clipped to it a handwritten note. Mom, I know you're reading this. I know you've been watching over us. I figured it out years ago. I'm not angry. I understand why you did what you did. I just want you to know I love you. I'm proud of you. And I hope someday you'll come out of hiding and meet your granddaughter properly. She has your eyes. And I think she has your courage too. All my love, Sarah. Eleanor broke. 45 years of walls came crashing down. 45 years of guilt, of shame, of wondering if she'd done the right thing. Her daughter had known. Her daughter had understood. Her daughter had loved her anyway. She never mailed it, Chen said softly. We think she was waiting for the right moment. She wanted to find you herself, to tell you in person. But she never got the chance. No. But Eleanor, she died knowing who you were. She died proud of you. That matters. Eleanor clutched the letter to her chest. Lily stirred in her lap. Grandma, why are you crying? Eleanor stroked her granddaughter's hair. Because your mommy left me a message, baby. And it made me very, very happy. What did she say? Eleanor smiled through her tears. She said she loved me. And she said you have my eyes. Lily sat up, studying her grandmother's face. I think I have your courage too. Eleanor pulled her close. Yes, baby. I think you do. 3 days later, Axel woke up for good. His second surgery had been successful. The doctors said he'd make a full recovery, though it would take months. Eleanor and Lily were at his bedside when he opened his eyes. You two again, he croaked. Don't you have anywhere else to be? Nope, Lily grinned. You're stuck with us. Lucky me. Eleanor handed him a cup of water. How do you feel? Like I got shot, beaten up, and then shot again. He took a careful sip. So better than expected. The doctor says you'll be out in a week, maybe less if you behave. I never behave. I've noticed. They sat in comfortable silence for a moment. Then Axel spoke again. Kane. Federal custody. Maximum security. No chance of escape this time. The club. Healing. Diesel's running things until you're back on your feet. And you too. Eleanor looked at Lily. Lily looked back. We're staying, Eleanor said. Right here in Cedar Falls. No more running. You sure there might be other iron wolves out there? Other threats? There might be. Eleanor shrugged. But I've got the Steel Angels watching my back now. And I've got the bravest 7-year-old in Texas watching my front. Lily beamed. Axel smiled. A real smile, tired but genuine. Welcome to the family, he said quietly. Both of you. Lily climbed onto the bed, careful not to jostle his injuries. Does this mean I can call you Uncle Axel? Axel's eyes widened. Because I've always wanted an uncle. And you're already like family. And you saved my grandma. And you took a bullet for us. So really, you're basically already my uncle. She looked at him with those ancient, knowing eyes. Please. Axel glanced at Eleanor. Eleanor shrugged. Don't look at me. She's her own person. I'm getting a sense of that. Axel turned back to Lily. Okay, kid, you can call me Uncle Axel, but that means you have to do what I say. Within reason. Within reason, you're 7. I'm a very reasonable 7. Axel laughed, then winced, then laughed again. Yeah, okay, within reason. Lily threw her arms around his neck, ignoring his grunt of pain. Thank you, Uncle Axel. Thank you for everything. And Axel Stone, president of the Steel Angels, battle-hardened biker and unlikely hero, felt something warm spread through his chest. Something that had nothing to do with his injuries. Something that felt suspiciously like love. 3 months changed everything. The yellow house on Cedar Street was gone, demolished by the damage from that terrible night. In its place stood a new home, built by Steel Angels, hands paid for with donations from clubs across the country. Eleanor Harper stood on the front porch, watching Lily chase butterflies through the garden. The roses William had planted 45 years ago had been carefully transplanted. They bloomed brighter than ever, as if they knew something had shifted in the universe. You're smiling. Axel's voice came from behind her. He walked slower these days, still healing, but his strength was returning. I'm allowed to smile. You are. It's just nice to see. He joined her at the railing. The kid seems happy. She is happy. First time in 2 years. Eleanor's eyes followed her granddaughter. She stopped having nightmares last week, started sleeping through the night. That's good. That's a miracle. They stood in comfortable silence. Lily spotted them and waved frantically. Grandma, Uncle Axel, come see what I found. Duty calls, Axel said. Indeed it does. They walked together through the garden, meeting Lily at the edge of the rose bushes. She was crouched over something, her face bright with wonder. Look, a caterpillar. It's going to become a butterfly. Eleanor knelt beside her granddaughter. Do you know why caterpillars become butterflies? Because they grow, because they transform. They go through something hard, something that changes them completely, and they come out the other side more beautiful than before. Lily considered this. Like us. Eleanor's throat tightened. Yes, baby. Exactly like us. Lily cupped the caterpillar gently in her hands. I'm going to name him William, after my grandfather. She looked up at Eleanor. Is that okay? That's perfect, sweetheart. Your grandfather would be honored. Lily carried the caterpillar to a safe spot in the garden, chattering to it about its future wings. Axel watched her go. She's something else. She's everything. Eleanor wiped her eyes. She's the best of all of us. Speaking of the best of all of us, Axel reached into his jacket pocket. The club had a meeting last night. We voted on something. On what? He handed her an envelope. Eleanor opened it slowly. Inside was a certificate official-looking with the Steel Angels emblem at the top. What is this? Read it. Eleanor's eyes scanned the document. Her hand flew to her mouth. Axel. The Steel Angels Motorcycle Club officially recognizes Eleanor Harper as our founder and lifetime honorary member. Retroactive to 1979. All rights and privileges. Full voting status. His voice softened. You built this family, Eleanor. It's time you were part of it again. Eleanor couldn't speak. For 45 years, she'd been an outsider. A ghost. A memory that no one knew existed. Now she was home. I don't know what to say. Say you'll accept. She looked at the certificate, at Axel's face, at Lily still talking to her caterpillar. Yes, I accept. Axel's smile was warm. Good. Because there's more. More. The club bought some land outside of town. We're building a new clubhouse. He paused. And a youth center. A youth center. For kids like Lily. Kids who need protection. Kids who need a family. Axel's eyes met hers. We're calling it the Harper Center. If that's okay with you. Eleanor's knees went weak. Axel caught her arm, steadying her. I'll take that as a yes. Why? Eleanor's voice cracked. After everything I put you through. After the danger, the death, the destruction. Why would you name something after me? Because you showed us what we're supposed to be. Axel's voice was firm. We were drifting Eleanor. Charity rides and poker games. We'd forgotten what the Steel Angels were built for. He gestured at the garden, at Lily, at the house that had risen from the ashes. You reminded us, strength protects, violence corrupts. We're not just a club, we're guardians, and the Harper Center will teach that to the next generation. Eleanor pulled him into a hug. Axel stiffened. He wasn't a hugger, but after a moment his arms came around her. Thank you, she whispered. Thank you for everything. Thank Lily. She's the one who ran into our garage screaming for help. I thank her every day. They separated. Lily had returned the caterpillar safely housed in a jar with holes poked in the lid. What are you two talking about? Adult stuff, Axel said. Boring. Very boring. Lily studied his face. You're lying. Something happened. How do you know? Because you're smiling. You never smile unless something good happened. Axel looked offended. I smile. You smirk. That's different, Eleanor laughed. She's got you there. Axel crouched to Lily's level. Okay, fine. Something good did happen. We're building a place for kids. Kids who need help. And we're naming it after your family. Lily's eyes went wide. Really? Really? The Harper Center? What do you think? I think... Lily's face scrunched up, processing. I think Mommy would have loved that. Yeah. Axel's voice was gentle. Why? Because Mommy always said helping people was the most important thing. More important than money or fame or anything. Lily clutched her caterpillar jar. She would have been so proud. Eleanor knelt beside her granddaughter. She is proud, baby. Wherever she is, she's watching. And she's proud. You think so? I know so. Lily nodded slowly. Then her face brightened. Can I help? Help with what? The center. Can I help build it or decorate it or... She gasped. Can I teach the kids things? Axel raised an eyebrow. What would you teach them? How to be brave. Lily's voice was matter-of-fact. I know a lot about being brave now. I could teach other kids. Eleanor's heart swelled. I think that's a wonderful idea. Really? Really, we'll start a program, Little Angels, for kids who want to learn courage. Lily squealed and threw her arms around Eleanor. This is the best day ever. 2 weeks later, the groundbreaking ceremony for the Harper Center drew a crowd of over 200 people. Steel angels from across the country, FBI agents who'd worked the case, townspeople who'd heard the story, reporters documenting the event. Eleanor stood at the podium, Lily by her side, looking out at the sea of faces. She'd never been good at public speaking. 45 years of hiding had made her allergic to attention. But this was different. This was closure. 45 years ago, she began, my husband and I started a motorcycle club in a garage no bigger than a garden shed. We had no money, no resources, no plan. Just a belief that good people could make a difference. Her voice strengthened. William Harper died before he could see what that belief became. But I've seen it. I've watched from the shadows as the Steel Angels grew into something incredible, something worth protecting, something worth fighting for. She looked at Axel standing in the front row. 3 months ago, my granddaughter ran into a garage full of strangers and begged them to save me. She was 7 years old, barefoot, bleeding, terrified. And they didn't hesitate. They didn't ask questions. They just came. Eleanor's voice cracked. That's what the Steel Angels are. That's what my husband built. That's what I'm proud to finally be part of again. She turned to Lily. My granddaughter wants to say something. Lily stepped forward. She was too short for the podium, so Axel lifted her up, holding her steady while she spoke into the microphone. Hi, I'm Lily Harper. I'm 7 3/4. The crowd laughed softly. My grandma told me I should say something about being brave, so here's what I know. She took a deep breath. Being brave doesn't mean you're not scared. It means you're really, really scared, but you do the right thing anyway. Like when I ran to find the Steel Angels. I was so scared I almost peed my pants. More laughter. But I kept running, because my grandma needed help, and I just knew that the angels would come. Her voice steadied. They did come. They came, and they fought, and they saved us. Not because we're special, not because we paid them, just because that's who they are. She looked out at the crowd. I want to be like that when I grow up. I want to help people who are scared. I want to be the one who comes when someone needs saving. She paused. My mom died 2 years ago. Bad people killed her. For a long time I was angry. I wanted the bad people to suffer like she suffered. Tears streamed down her face, but her voice didn't waver. But then I learned something. Revenge doesn't fix anything. It just makes more broken pieces. The only thing that really helps is love and protection and being there for people when they need you. She wiped her eyes. So that's what the Harper Center is going to be. A place where scared kids can find help, where they can learn to be brave, where they can become angels too. She looked at Axel. Can you put me down now? My arms are tired. The crowd erupted in applause. Axel lowered Lily to the ground, but not before whispering something in her ear. She grinned and whispered back. Eleanor didn't hear what they said, but she saw the bond between them, the uncle and niece who'd found each other in the chaos. Another piece of family, another piece of home. After the ceremony, Agent Chen approached Eleanor with a folder. Final report. The Iron Wolves case is officially closed. Eleanor took the folder, but didn't open it. How many convictions? 47, including Kane Williams and everyone involved in Sarah's death. Chen's face was satisfied. The largest RICO case in Texas history, and it all traces back to you. It traces back to a lot of people. But it started with you. 45 years of patience, 45 years of gathering evidence, 45 years of refusing to let them win. Chen shook her hand. You're a hero, Eleanor, whether you like it or not. I'm not a hero. I'm just a stubborn old woman who outlived her enemies. Same thing sometimes. Eleanor laughed. Maybe. Chen glanced at Lily, who was showing off her caterpillar jar to a group of admiring bikers. She's going to be okay, you know. Kids are resilient, and she's got the best support system I've ever seen. She's got family. That's all anyone needs. Speaking of family, Chen pulled out a small box. This was recovered from William's office. It belonged to your husband. Eleanor's hands trembled as she took the box. Inside was William's wedding ring, the one he'd been wearing when he died, the one she'd thought was lost forever. How? Williams kept trophies, souvenirs from his victories. Chen's voice was bitter. This was in a collection. We identified it from old photos. Eleanor slipped the ring onto her finger where her own wedding band still rested. After 45 years, they were together again. Thank you, she whispered. Thank you for bringing him back to me. Thank you for never giving up on justice. The Harper Center opened 6 months later. Lily cut the ribbon, her face beaming. Beside her stood Eleanor Axel Diesel and what seemed like every steel angel in the western United States. The center was beautiful. Classrooms for tutoring, counseling rooms for therapy, a gymnasium for self-defense classes, a garden where kids could learn to nurture growing things, and at the entrance a plaque with words that would guide generations to come. Strength protects, violence corrupts. Courage isn't about being fearless, it's about being afraid and protecting people anyway. Real power isn't making others scared of you, it's making others feel safe around you. Written by Lily Harper, age 7. The first class of Little Angels enrolled that same day. 20 kids, ages 6 to 12 each, with their own story of trauma and survival. Lily stood before them like a tiny general. Welcome to the Harper Center. I'm Lily. I'm going to teach you how to be brave. A boy in the back raised his hand. How old are you? 8, but I've been brave longer than that. What makes you qualified? Lily considered the question. 3 months ago, a bad man came to hurt my grandma. I was so scared I couldn't breathe. But I ran anyway. I ran until my feet bled. I found help, and together we stopped him. She looked at each child in turn. Being brave isn't about being big or strong or tough. It's about doing the right thing even when you're terrified. Every one of you has done that. Every one of you is already brave. You just don't know it yet. She smiled. But you will, I promise. Behind her, Eleanor watched with tears in her eyes. She's magnificent, Axel murmured. She's her mother's daughter. She's more than that. She's the future. Yes, Eleanor's voice was steady. She is. That evening, the Steel Angels held a celebration at their clubhouse. Music played, food flowed, laughter echoed off the walls. Eleanor sat in a corner watching it all unfold. Diesel was teaching Lily to play poker. She was winning. Marcus was arm wrestling with members from other chapters. He was losing, but gracefully. Axel was deep in conversation with Agent Chen, probably discussing boring things like ongoing investigations and federal cooperation. And everywhere Eleanor looked, she saw angel wings. Wings on leather vests, wings on patches, wings tattooed on arms and painted on motorcycles, wings that represented protection, family, hope. Wings her husband had designed 45 years ago in a garage no bigger than a garden shed. You look thoughtful. Mama Rose settled into the chair beside her 2 cups of coffee in hand. I'm remembering. Good memories or bad? Both, but mostly good. Eleanor accepted the coffee. I spent so long being afraid of the past. Now I can't stop living in it. That's not living in it, that's honoring it. Mama Rose sipped her drink. The past made you who you are, the good and the bad. Pretending it didn't exist doesn't help anyone. When did you get so wise? I've always been wise. You were just too busy hiding to notice. Eleanor laughed. Fair point. Lily appeared flush with victory. Grandma, I won $20. You hustled them, didn't you? Diesel said it's only hustling if they don't know you're good. And I told them I was good. They just didn't believe me. That's my girl. Lily climbed into Eleanor's lap despite being too big for it. Grandma. Yes, baby. I've been thinking about what I want to be when I grow up. And I want to be a steel angel, like you, like Uncle Axel, like Grandpa William. Eleanor's heart swelled. That's a big dream. I know. But Mama Rose says the biggest dreams are the ones worth fighting for. Lily snuggled closer. And I'm really good at fighting. You are. But being a steel angel isn't just about fighting. It's about protecting, serving, putting others before yourself. I know. Lily's voice was quiet. That's why I want it. Because I want to be the person who shows up when someone needs help. Like you did for me. Eleanor kissed the top of her head. Then that's exactly what you'll be. Axel appeared a piece of paper in his hand. Sorry to interrupt, but there's something we need to do. What kind of something? Official club business. He was trying to look serious, but his eyes were twinkling. Lily Harper, please stand. Lily scrambled to her feet, suddenly nervous. What's happening? The Steel Angels have a tradition. When someone shows exceptional courage, we recognize them. Tonight, we're recognizing you. He held up the paper. By unanimous vote of the membership, Lily Harper is hereby named an honorary Steel Angel. All rights and privileges. Full protection of the club. Forever. Lily's mouth dropped open. Really? Really? Axel reached into his pocket and pulled out a small patch. Angel wings, just like the ones on his vest, but sized for a child. This is yours. To wear whenever you want. To remind you that you're never alone. Lily took the patch with trembling hands. I don't know what to say. You don't have to say anything. You've already shown us who you are. Axel crouched to her level. You're a Steel Angel, Lily Harper. You always have been. This just makes it official. Lily threw her arms around his neck. Thank you, Uncle Axel. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You're welcome, kid. His voice was rough. Now go show everyone your patch. They're waiting. Lily ran off, waving her patch in the air, her face incandescent with joy. Eleanor watched her go. You've made her the happiest child in Texas. She earned it. Axel straightened. She saved all of us, you know. Not just by running for help, but by reminding us what matters, what we're supposed to be. Strength protects. Violence corrupts. And the smallest warrior can have the biggest heart. They stood together watching the celebration unfold. 45 years of hiding. 45 years of fear. 45 years of wondering if any of it mattered. And now finally Eleanor Harper had her answer. It mattered. All of it. The running, the hiding, the waiting, the fighting, the losing, the winning. Every moment had led to this. To Lily wearing her angel wings, dancing among the people who would protect her forever. To Eleanor surrounded by family she'd never known she had. To a legacy that would outlive them all. William would have been proud. Sarah would have been proud. And Eleanor was finally completely, utterly at peace. Lily ran back, breathless with excitement. Grandma Diesel says I can ride on his motorcycle tomorrow. Can I please? We'll see. That means yes. It means we'll see. Lily hugged her tight. This is the best night ever. I have a family again. A real family. Eleanor held her granddaughter close. Yes, baby. You do. And you always will. Strength protects. Violence corrupts. And sometimes the bravest thing you can do is run barefoot through the streets, bleeding and terrified, screaming for help. Because the angels will always answer. Always.